I'm Gray Thompson, and you're listening to the fête College Football Podcast, coming to you from the Hall of Fame Sports Grill on Wade Hampton Avenue in downtown Greenville. I am joined by one of the best people. In fact, I'll argue the best person in all of the state.
All of the state.
The best smelling, for sure.
That's
Dapper,
right.
handsome, charming.
Charming.
Dr. J. Spivey, PMSMD.
Vitamin J.
Vitamin J.
Yeah, I am here, and let me tell you, Hall of Fame Sports Grill in Wade Hampton just had the Citadel Bulldog Burger with provolone, and holy cow, go Bulldog Burgers.
There you go. I had the Wildcat, a.k.a. the Kentucky Burger, which had blue cheese on it, which, is very appropriate. I'd call it the mild cat after the way Georgia treated them on the road, but still very delicious. The Hall of Fame sauce. I know you hear me say this every time if you've listened before or you watch Fête Greenville TV. Thank you for watching. It is delicious.
It is delicious.
This place is great. Can I just run through? They're open 7 days a week. Monday, of course, you got Monday Night Football. Tuesday, Bar Trivia for Dummies, which I struggle to even read, but it's perfect for me and Jay Spivey. Wednesday, 30-second music bingo. How much fun is that?
That is pretty fun.
I bet it's a blast. I haven't been. Thursday, NCAA and Thursday Night Football. For people like me who like to watch UCF so that they can have an opinion when they let Temple score 40 on them, and it's still fun to watch. Friday, Rockstar Karaoke. Karaoke is made for Fridays. Saturday, guess what?
College football.
College football, including this weekend for Boston College and Clemson and College Game Day. You can't beat that.
No,
Sunday, of course, NFL football, and Sunday Fun Day.
Well, I'm telling you, if this sport is on television, you need to come to Hall of Fame Sports Grill to watch it.
Love this place.
All right.
I'm drinking a Bell's Two Hearted at lunch. This is really hard to beat. Shout out to Brad Wolfen and little Brad, who is not so little, but I hope he goes to play football for the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
Well, let's start this off with number one. If you're not doing the iongreenville.net pick'em contest each week, you need to. That's iongreenville.net. You can go in and pick college scores, whatever, winners, losers, based on point spread.
It's all against the spread, yes.
And there is a weekly winner, and then there's going to be like an overall champion. And I got to tell you, I am sucking wind in the beginning of the second half of the season because I have dropped to number 13 out of 300 people. And Gray Thompson is catching up with me fast because you've moved up to number 23, and you are only 4 wins behind me.
It's great.
So I fully expect you to surpass me by rivalry weekend.
Are you getting nervous?
I am getting nervous.
Like right before a Clemson kickoff nervous?
Because I shouldn't be number 13 on this list. Mm-hmm. I am not a picker, but I am picking them.
As far as I'm concerned, you should be number 1 on every list ever.
Well, that's why we're together, because I need a PR agent in Gray, and you're the best one out there.
I'm here to help.
All right, let's start off with the Clemson game. They crushed Louisville. I mean, it wasn't, I don't even know if you could call it a football game.
You can. I wouldn't call it crushed. I'd call it the new definition of Clemsoning.
And does this mean Louisville
Actually, there's a better word out there for it.
Clemson?
What? No. What do you call it when you assault a corpse? I don't know. It's something like that. You might as well call it Clemsoning, because this was a bludgeoning. And once again, 77 points. And yet they still left points on the board. Trevor Lawrence threw, 12 times?
54 yards or something like that?
It's silly. This was not Clemson's best game. Certainly not Clemson's best opponent, but good grief.
Right.
Alabama ain't scoring 77.
Well, we'll see when Alabama plays Citadel.
Will we?
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, no.
But I'm telling you, Clemson looks sound and balanced. They played everybody, and that's probably the 4th or 5th game that they've played virtually everybody on the team that had a set of pads on.
Yeah.
So, they're healthy. The people like Etienne and all them are not getting overplayed. Chase Bryce, backup quarterbacks, getting playing time, throwing the ball well, doing well.
Can we...
But
we need to not call him the backup quarterback. He is so good.
He's good.
He's just the other quarterback.
Right.
That's all. He's fantastic.
Well, their running game against weak teams like this is just going through the roof, which is kind of amazing. And they, you can tell when just like with the Wake Forest game, if they don't have to pass and they can run the ball, then they're going to damn run the ball. And it's weird watching Clemson. Overall, they're balanced. but yet it depends on what the other team gives them. They just exploit that. And that's been a while since Clemson had the running ability to be able to exploit that. They're looking more and more like junior Alabama every game.
Stop saying that. I'm not going to harp on this too much. There's no junior to Clemson with Alabama as far as I'm concerned. They might be second place. The distance between Alabama and Clemson right now is marginal.
Yeah.
Okay? And it might be non-existent, frankly, okay?
Well, we'll find out, I think. I got a feeling. But, it's just good to see Clemson play good, solid football.
They had another fat man touchdown, which I love.
My God.
I always love that.
My new favorite fullback.
ETN's average yards per carry was, like 12 yards?
Yeah, and for the season, he's at 8.6.
I was about to say something about Clemson's third-yard conversions being relatively low. They had, 3 in the game, but that's only because they had, 3 opportunities for third downs. They had 2 touchdowns and 5 total plays of the game.
Right.
This was a bludgeoning.
And Dixon, I'm telling you, in the years to come, Dixon, he's like watching C.J. Spiller. He's averaging 11.1 yards per carry.
1-1-1?
I mean, that's just astronomical. Now, granted, if they're playing one of the better defenses in the country in Alabama or Michigan or Ohio State even to a degree or Notre Dame or whatever, they're not going to get those kind of run yards. But to have the ability to be able to do that when the opportunity presents itself is a big deal.
What we've seen with other running backs who got nationwide recognition for things like the Heisman and other trophies like that, other awards, were guys who were the only hope for that team. Saquon Barkley and who was the guy at Stanford? McCaffrey, who, his brother got hurt this weekend.
At Stanford.
Yeah, exactly, who also had injury.
Right.
Clemson and Alabama both, but I'll highlight Clemson right now for the reason that they're playing running back by committee with all of 4 guys who are exceptionally good, if not as good as any of those other guys who we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Lynn J. Dixon, Feaster, ETNT. Give me another one. And don't use any of the fat guys who score touchdowns.
I'm trying to think. There is another.
Fuller?
Fuller.
Okay.
No, I mean, I just think they're in a fortunate position, and if a team shuts them down on the run, then Trevor Lawrence is going to pass all over them.
If a team shuts Clemson down in the run, that is an elite level team.
Right.
That to me is Alabama, and frankly, I don't see any other defense out there that's capable of doing it other than Clemson. And Clemson's defense says in practice we struggle to stop these guys.
Well, I'll tell you, the game coming up this Saturday with Clemson and BC. 8 o'clock at Boston College. I've been saying all season, preseason, everything, there is one catch game this season, and it is Boston College. And they've got one of the best, toughest running backs at BC. And it's really going to be an interesting matchup to see how Clemson's run defense, which has been stellar.
It's been great.
How they do against a Boston College team that really does like to run the ball.
He re-injured his existing injury, though. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
And we won't know until tomorrow if he's going to play at all.
It's just
even if he does, he won't be 100%. Even if he is 100%, I know you don't like to hear this. And Dave Galloway, this one's for you. Clemson is that good, especially on defense. They're going to throttle Boston College. This game will also be the 4th division win for Clemson, which means those seniors who came back instead of becoming millionaires in the NFL with first-round draft picks, they will have won their division and conference, potentially, every single year they played at Clemson.
One thing going for
I
Boston
love this stuff.
Yeah, one thing going for Boston College. They block well. Defensive line is always good.
Always.
And so they are what Virginia Tech used to be. BC is all about their linemen, and they have phenomenal linemen.
And linebackers.
It's going to be, I envision, a tough game, but it's hard to believe that the spread's 20.5 points. I mean, that to me, and granted, I'm a healthy Clemson fan, but I'm not one of those super crazed, believe everything fans. I just don't remember a day where BC's ranked Clemson's ranked and Clemson's favored by 20 points. That's crazy.
This is the world we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Clemson isn't just good. You can be a fan all you want. They are fundamentally and consistently so competitive that it's not a surprise to me, and it's impossible for me to pick against a 3-score spread. Sorry. It's going to be too much, even on the road.
What do you think the score is going to be?
That one's a little bit tricky, in particular because of Boston College not knowing what they're going to do with the running back position. However, what we do know about Boston College is they're not going to be able to throw. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. This is football. What that means is that runs clock. Yeah. So Clemson will still be able to score in the 40s, I think, but not the 70s at all, just because of clock attrition. That's all.
Right. Unless they get a bunch of 3-and-outs, there's no way.
Or another pick six on the first play from scrimmage on the other team. That's fine. We're going to allow it.
Go Tigers.
There's going to be fewer opportunities for turnovers in this game because, like I said, they're going to keep it on the ground. But Clemson is too complete. Boston College is, to me, similar to Kentucky. They're one of my favorite teams to watch play football because I'm a defensive guy. Nobody pays much attention to Boston College because they don't compete for championships. But they are good, strong, solid, fundamental tacklers. They're great on the D-line in particular. They eat their meat and potatoes, that's for sure.
That's true.
They have a ridiculous November. So we kind of knew ahead of schedule that Boston College would probably be one of the best teams ranked outside of the top 25 simply because of resume, because of how brutal it is. Florida State obviously doesn't look as competitive as we thought they would, so maybe that'll be a good win for Boston College in conference. But I want to see Clemson lock this up and complete the division.
I think we'll definitely know at halftime. Either this is going to be yet another Clemson great victory or whatever, or because both with Clemson and Alabama, when it comes to halftime, both teams have been completely in command of almost every game this season.
Absolutely.
So, I don't feel like it's going to be as stressful late into the game as, the A&M game for Clemson or anything. And it's, we're getting the meat of the season. Clemson's gotten better every week. Now,
consistently better. Again, this is what I look for teams to do. I look for consistency. You've seen it not be evident pretty much everywhere else outside of Clemson and Alabama. I think Georgia has been relatively consistent. That one game that they had a loss was very inconsistent for them. Meanwhile, all these other teams are playing tough one week and then getting blown out at home for homecoming the next week.
Or they were good early, and then you find out really they aren't that good when you get to the meat of the season.
They're certainly not elite, and I see this elite competition being so consistent as an easy way to predict what's going to happen. And it's fun. Enjoy it.
Now, Bama killed LSU.
Roll Tide.
I mean, and it was I watched a goodly portion of this game. And watched the highlights and read about it and all that stuff.
It was a late game. Is that why you didn't see the whole thing?
I just didn't want to watch the whole thing once I felt like that Alabama was in complete control.
Yeah.
And LSU played tough, but they played tough and got beat handily.
29-0.
Yeah.
What's my favorite number, Jay?
0.
0.
And why is that your favorite number? Because it's almost impossible to do.
It's relatively completely impossible to do.
Right.
LSU had an opportunity to put up a field goal, which is what they tried to do when they were down 3 scores with a guy who's been outrageously successful inside the 40.
Right.
And this was from, I think, 34. And, he shanked it to the left. Mack Wilson got an incredible interception later on in the end zone. Alabama was stifling on defense.
Right, and the big takeaway I had from it, Alabama's defense statistically and in some games doesn't necessarily put up the numbers where you go, Alabama's the greatest defense like they're used to. But in this game, it appeared like Alabama was a whole lot better defense than what LSU was prepared to play.
That's true.
And Alabama looked better on defense than just about any school I've seen play this year in that game.
Alabama's secondary in particular. Look, what Alabama has been used to for the past decade is older guys getting into their prime before they go into the league. Right now, Alabama does not have that kind of depth. they're doing it with young guys who, like Clemson's offense, have evolved this season, but they've done it consistently. They've gotten better every game. So you say, oh, they let Louisiana score points on them. Okay, great. They did in the passing game, which is where they thought they were relatively weak.
Right.
I love the poetic justice of them doing it with their secondary that's mostly, it's about half and half made from guys from both Alabama and the state of Louisiana. Surtain, for example. Why can't I remember these names when we're recording a podcast? It's silly.
I have no idea.
Anyway.
Well, they've got to
Coach O, as in zero, as in Roll Tide. I love the zero. I love it. Tua. Look, they scored 29 points. They missed 2 extra points. One of them was a bad snap and a bad hold, but that's still pretty much inexcusable, right? So I can say all day it should have been 31-0, but the truth is Tua played his worst game.
Right.
He was, and when I say that, don't feel sorry for Alabama. What I mean is if you're trying to figure out how to beat Alabama, Tua was overthrowing guys. He was making poor decisions. Yes, like we said last week, he did end up throwing his first interception.
Yeah.
He had some pressure, stepped into the pocket. It was too late. That ball was not terrible, and it was deep. He threw to the outside. That guy came around Jerry Jeudy, who was fingers out. It was an incredible catch.
Right.
That's what it takes to even come close, and it didn't matter because right after that, LSU went 3 and out, including nearly a safety, and then Alabama scored a touchdown.
And now think about it. Alabama on a mediocre, a C+, B- offensive day beats a school by 29 points. That tells you what Alabama's like this season.
I don't want to say C+. I want to say that I think Alabama was very complete. Everybody else was doing a good job except for Alabama's kicker, right? Did you see the Funny Main video where he says, look, kicker, this is a team game. Everybody else is playing for the team. It'd be nice if you contributed.
That's funny.
Tua was simply making his own personal mistakes that he holds himself accountable for that we haven't seen him do before, that frankly LSU did a really good job of fundamentals, things like tackling. Look, Alabama had guys in space where LSU made a tackle to stop a huge run 3 separate times for sure. They did a good job, but they are not one of the 4 best teams in the country. We said that also last week. I wouldn't say they got exposed. This is what I expected except for the 0, in spite of Tua's lackluster performance, relatively speaking.
Right. Because zeros really are almost impossible to get.
Yeah, it's rare.
It's just so difficult to keep somebody to nothing.
I'm wearing my 2011 National Championship T-shirt. This is my ratty one. This is not a pretty shirt. This is the way LSU plays. This is what they've deserved.
Right.
I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm upset with LSU. I know a lot of people question why we call it a rivalry, and especially because the last several years it has not been competitive.
Right.
LSU thinks about and cares about Alabama 365 days a year. You know who Alabama talks about 365 days a year?
Auburn.
Alabama. It's not all that dissimilar from Clemson.
Right.
Dabo said it just an hour ago roughly on his press conference. We play to our standard.
Right.
I wish more teams were doing exactly that because it proves to be the most effective.
That's
LSU,
true.
after a bye week, look, they petitioned the SEC commissioner on the targeting call that shouldn't have been against Devin White for him to miss the first half against Alabama. They had what's-his-name on ESPN that they had to issue a public apology for on live air for him talking about how the SEC is positioned to help Alabama win by keeping out Tennessee's number 1 defensive guy and I think Arkansas.
All complete conspiracy theorist bullshit.
It's ridiculous, and more to the point, I don't want it either. Look, there was also a targeting call in this game for the next best defensive player. When they called the flag, I said, I hope he stays in the game. What I want to see is the best teams play each other the best they can.
Right.
Losing Devin White, I didn't want that either. It wasn't the best call. But LSU, damn it, you got everything you wanted. You got the bye week. You got the game at home. You got the crowd. You got the refs on your side, so to speak. And I'm not calling conspiracy against the refs. What I'm saying is you got what you wanted. You got 0 holding calls, and there were holds in this game that resulted in big plays. Again, it's not conspiracy. I'm not crying. This was the best you could do after a bye week. Your DBU And Alabama's quarterback with a gimp knee runs past all your guys, including Dixon.
Yeah.
When or Devin White. When he came back into the second half, Alabama got more yards on the ground. It's pathetic. I'm upset with them. I don't like the way they behave. I don't like their culture. I like Coach O because he's such a weird comic book guy. But damn it, I'm okay with Alabama fans. It's time to be happy.
Right.
Alabama, like Clemson, is doing this the right way. With great guys, good players who don't get in trouble, who do things the right way, who contribute to the community, who say the right things, who fight against all odds and give us these epic performances that I understand if you don't like it, but this is not for me. This is for you, for everybody who's listening. Alabama and Clemson are going to keep doing this. It's up to you whether or not you hate it, because this is as good as it gets. This is excellent college football.
And one thing I'd like to say is all the Gamecock fans and NC State Wolfpack fans that are out there, this same rant applies to you with the crap you say and do in relation to Clemson. And I guess when you've got two of the best programs in the country, you're going to end up drawing the ire and admonition and jealousy and envy of virtually everybody else. And I don't say that trying to put other people down. I say that because that is absolutely the reality we live in today. Now, granted, Alabama could go to Mississippi State and lose this weekend.
This is the best defensive team Alabama plays, not LSU.
Clemson could go to Boston College and lose this weekend. It's college football. That happens.
True.
But if you're going to conspire and bitch and moan and complain because you feel like your team isn't getting the opportunity, I got a little suggestion for you. Work hard in the offseason and win the damn games.
Do better.
Do better.
Do better as a culture. I'm disappointed with LSU's culture. They took Tua Tagovailoa took a hit, which a lot of people say, oh, the refs blew the play dead. Okay, it was a false start. They blew the play dead. He took a hit to his groin from a helmet and to his bad knee with his other shoulder pad. By definition, that's a low hit. Again, don't listen to me complain. My point is they didn't call it. My point is when he went down and he was on the field for a minute or two, the LSU fans were cheering. Okay? And this wasn't just hype from the beginning of the game. This was halfway through the first quarter.
And that's a culture
I don't want
problem.
that. Clemson isn't cheering if Tua goes down. I hope. I'm certainly not cheering if I see Trevor Lawrence down for any extended period of time. I don't want that. I don't expect that.
So
it's disappointing and it's disgusting, and I'm tired of it. And
I am.
You know what?
You.
LSU, enjoy the 0.
Yeah, that's right.
Tired of it.
So Mississippi
and Clemson, enjoy this time. This is so much fun.
It is fun.
Celebrate these touchdowns. Celebrate the next few years, and understand this is as good as it gets. You're not second place to Alabama. You're competing with Alabama, and Alabama's competing with you, and everybody else is on the outside looking in. It might be Georgia. I know what I'm talking about. I'm so excited for all of this stuff.
Well, let me narrow you down to Mississippi State.
Yes.
24 and a half point spread, Alabama over Mississippi State. I think it's going to be a 35-40 point win.
Why?
Because I think Alabama's hit their stride, and I think the defense grew up against LSU.
They did.
And I think all of a sudden it's going to be like, holy crap.
They played out of their minds against LSU.
The complete team is here, and all Tua has to do is have a B game, and they're going to score 30 to 60 points, and it's just whether the other team can keep up.
Mississippi State is about 40 miles from Tuscaloosa.
Right.
A lot of the guys who grew up in high school together know each other from those two schools. They are friendly to each other, relatively speaking. It's not a rivalry at all whatsoever. Mississippi State, however, is the best defense Alabama has faced all season, both statistically and with the eye test, like it or not. They are better than LSU on defense, in spite of the fact, like I said, LSU did a great job with tackling. That's fundamentals. The problem for Mississippi State is Nick Fitzgerald is a great running quarterback. He's not an excellent passer. He had some more statistical success this past weekend. But against this Alabama secondary who has come into its own and is hungry and is tired of people not talking about them, I like that kind of hunger. I like that these guys want to compete and perform and do it the right way. to do it against Mississippi State, let me have it. I called it last year. I knew that was going to be close, and nobody wanted to watch that game. It ended up Alabama had a late score with Devontae Smith through the middle to seal the win. I think it was 4 points. It was a single score.
Right.
I don't know that I'm comfortable going against the points, but I'm going to take them anyway, just because I think Alabama is that competitive.
Well, I just don't think that Mississippi State has a chance to score as many points as Alabama does. So even if Mississippi State had a great offensive game, scored 17, 21 points, I still think it's going to be 40-17 or 40-21. And I just don't think there's anybody out there today on Alabama's schedule that is going to keep Alabama from scoring 40 points unless, Tua has a horrible day.
Officially, Georgia is on Alabama's schedule. I think they can definitely keep Alabama from scoring 40 points.
Not this year.
We got our tickets to Atlanta for the SEC title game. Georgia also locked up the East. We'll get to that in a minute. This is the earliest any two teams have locked up their divisions. Clemson, like I said, is hoping to do the same thing this weekend. I'm excited about all this.
I am too.
Mississippi State is not going to be able to effectively or officially run the ball against Alabama. There was a point during the LSU game, Jay, where I had to run to the bathroom. When I came back, I realized that I had more rushing yards than LSU. Okay?
Yeah.
Mississippi State is one-dimensional, relatively speaking. That's not good news for facing this Alabama defense at all.
All right, let's quickly go through Georgia. Georgia's dogs chase the cats out of Kentucky.
The mild cats, would you say?
The mild cats.
I love Kentucky. I
really
really
do. I want
do.
Kentucky to do well.
They have done well. They made people finally pay attention to them. They've been playing consistently this good for the last several years, and I love to watch Kentucky play ball.
And let me add a conditional. Kentucky is really good for Kentucky.
They're great for Kentucky.
They're not one of the elite teams.
No.
And I don't know if they ever can be, but for a Kentucky program, this is pretty good, and they ought to be pretty proud of themselves. But, Georgia just looked like they had it well in hand pretty much from the start of the game. And, the big question, I really don't want to spend that much time on Kentucky because I don't think it's that big a deal that Georgia won.
But they're not treating it that way. They're not citing conspiracy. They're not saying we need to fire our coach because we didn't win the East. They are everything I like about the sport. They play great ball the right way. Benny Snell is so much fun to watch.
Snell, yeah.
Their quarterback's gotten better. He was not elite against Georgia, but he was going for some strikes, and Georgia was what I said Georgia has been all year long.
A better team.
Yeah.
Now, when Georgia hosts Auburn between the hedges, and the idea, granted Auburn is not all that good this year, and a 14-point spread is relatively close, but I just see Georgia beating the crap out of Auburn.
You see that?
Yeah.
You can see the future, Jay Spivey.
I just see them... I see them hitting stride after their loss, winning against Kentucky.
Georgia is still mad for the way they lost to Auburn on the road last year.
And I think a home game, that's a big deal playing Auburn at home. That is a big deal game. I think Georgia's going to unload hell on Auburn. And that, it may be a good game for a little bit of it, and Auburn's going to have some good
What makes you
plays.
think that?
I just think Georgia's going to lay down the hammer on them hard.
Stidham has the ability to make long throws.
Yeah.
He has the ability to hit guys in stride.
And I think that may get them
but he does nothing
14, 17 points. But I think Georgia is truly mad, wants more respect, has the talent.
They do.
And this could be the coming out party for the end of the season, Georgia. Or if it's not, Georgia doesn't stand a chance in the championship of the conference.
How did Kentucky score 17 on Georgia?
I have no earthly idea what your answer is.
They had some very effective running. They were able to consistently get a few yards and some first downs, for example, right? Auburn's not going to be able to run the ball against Georgia much at all. It's all going to come down to Stidham, which to me is going to result in some turnovers in the Bulldogs' favor.
There's going to be some fumbles of the quarterback being sacked.
This could be another 0, Jay.
I think they're going to beat the crap out of Auburn.
This could be a 3, which, again, LSU attempted, I wouldn't put it past Auburn to attempt it the way that Gus Malzahn is nervous about his job, as he should be.
He should be. Because Auburn, if they lose this game, what are they, 4-4?
Probably something like
God.
that. Yeah, it's bad.
Now, Gamecocks, they beat Ole Miss. It was a good game.
Yeah.
They seemed like they kind of showed up a little bit.
It was an exciting game.
They kind of showed up a little bit, showed a little flair. You know, South Carolina looked better. And I swear, every single South Carolina game, I don't know which Gamecock team is showing up.
This was the one I wanted to show up all season long.
Right.
Just go nuts on offense.
And now that Florida has proved itself to be, you know, not a great offensive team.
They haven't proved anything. They're just playing inconsistent. And
Florida's only favored by 6.5 over South Carolina. Again, I don't have any idea how South Carolina's going to do against Florida.
Yes, you do.
Because I don't know which South Carolina's going to show up.
What matters to me is, look, what do you know about Ole Miss's defense? Would you rate them good, bad?
I'd rate them as fair.
You're wrong. They're really bad. Florida's defense is a strength for them.
Yeah.
That does not play well into South Carolina's hands on the road after Florida lost a big loss for homecoming at home against Missouri.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know which Florida team's going to show up.
This is
the same thing with the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
If the Gamecocks play the same way they did this past weekend, like I expected them to all season, they have a competitive possibility in this game.
Right.
But I don't think it's likely. That's all. I really don't.
I could see this game being 13-10.
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean,
I could also see it being like 45. I don't know. Oh,
I just
my God.
don't have a feel for it. And
roll the dice. Yeah.
Good luck, both of you. Furman beat the hell out of Chattanooga.
Yep. Eat it, moccasins.
And they've got the mighty VMI Keydets.
Yes.
At VMI, which could be a really ugly, nasty win for Furman because VMI is terrible.
The Virginia Military Institute.
I think they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games.
Okay.
And Furman, granted, has been hit or miss a couple of games this season.
And they've grown up.
They seem to be
better.
They've gotten better. So I see Furman traveling up to VMI and just beating the crud out of the Keydets.
I see F you once, F you twice.
F you all the time.
F you all the time, and F you up by, let's say, 3 scores. I want them to beat them by 17.
So, big games this week. The only one I've got down kind of to keep an eye out for is Oklahoma State. And it's at Oklahoma. We're going to find out whether Oklahoma State, their offense can score, which Oklahoma will certainly let them.
Yeah. Well, we thought Oklahoma State's defense was going to be outstanding. They had another loss this past weekend. They're, again, inconsistent. And against Oklahoma, who Oklahoma is fighting for an opportunity to get into the Big 12 championship, which we saw Texas and West Virginia this past weekend, which may be the rematch in the Big 12 title game, right? Will Greer going for 2 points to win the game. Coach Phil Collins for West Virginia over there with his visor on, looking good. But Oklahoma and West Virginia play the last game in the regular season for the Big 12.
That's going to be.
And then they may play the next week against each other in the Big 12 title game. One of those clearly matters more than the other.
Right.
But what a mess. I don't think that's good for the sport.
No, and I think
it won't be boring. Oklahoma and West Virginia are going to be outstanding football games.
It's going to be a video game.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really see any other big games that we need to go over as far as this weekend goes, but the playoffs are coming. Each week now we get the playoff updates. You know, if Clemson and Alabama take care of business, they're going to be 1 and 2. So really the only question is going to be who's number 4 if Notre Dame keeps winning. But watch Notre Dame because on November 17th...
Is it? I mean, you got Georgia in there too.
Yeah, but they've already had a loss. So as long as... I mean, Georgia's going to have to play in the SEC championship. The only way they get in is if they beat Alabama. So I don't.
Jim Harbaugh hasn't beaten Ohio State yet, and yes, it looks like he has the ability to potentially do that this year in Columbus. But it's an if to me. It really is.
I would love to see Alabama, Michigan and Clemson Notre Dame in the 2 playoff games.
Any combination of those would be great.
Because those 2 would be watched across the country by massive audiences. Now,
who else would it be potentially? Georgia, Oklahoma? Jay, my point is everybody's going to watch these games.
Right.
Okay?
But it may end up being Clemson, Alabama for the championship again. And if it is, that does disappoint maybe the national audience of college football watchers.
I have a problem with that.
But at least with Notre Dame and Michigan potentially in the playoff, we're bringing in parts of the country that would like to see a college football playoff with one of their regional teams in. I think that's good semifinal football. And then as a Clemson fan, I want to play Alabama every year in the national championship.
Okay.
Win or lose, if we just win 1 out of 3, I'll be happy with being the second best college football program in America.
Or competing for the best.
Right.
Again, stop saying that. This is on you and all Clemson fans. Alabama fans, you're okay to say it's fun being an Alabama fan. Let me tell you another thing about this LSU game, which is not all that dissimilar from every game Alabama plays. We don't just get other teams at their best, we get everything else from them because of their success.
That's right.
You get to see Odell Beckham Jr. on the sideline with Darius Geis and Leonard Fournette, all these Vince Vaughn for crying out loud.
And you get their envy.
You get the flyovers. You get Jerry Jones coming back to Arkansas to bring in all these legacy dudes every single weekend. For Alabama fans, it's a celebration of everything that makes the sport great because everybody's giving you their best shot and nobody's talking about it because guess what? It's fun and they're doing it the right way. Look, I want other teams, other conferences to be in the playoff in the playoff race. But that means I want them to be playing as elite-level college football as we're seeing from teams like Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia right now. And they aren't doing it. Yeah. If they're doing it weekend every now and then, not consistently. And not for the foreseeable future as consistently. Like, again, we're going to see Tua Tagovailoa as a sophomore. Trevor Lawrence has grown up this season. He's technically a freshman. He's no longer a freshman. He's able to compete. This is a future franchise NFL quarterback. Enjoy watching him play for the next 2.5 years in college because this is what we should want. Guys playing exceptional ball, doing it the right way, celebrating the right way, not getting in trouble. College football, to me, has been such a unique opportunity to learn to be objective, to learn to not look at things with a positive light, but to just simply be objective. Yes, enjoy what you have, understand that this is exceptionally rare, and it's going to keep going. We should celebrate this stuff, Jay. This is living history, and it's for the best. This isn't Johnny Manziel. This isn't Jameis Winston standing on a table saying things that you wouldn't say anywhere.
These are good people doing good jobs.
Great jobs. Yes. Great people doing it the right way, and they're boys. Yeah. They're children. And I'm loving it. And I do want more teams to compete that way, but they're not doing it.
Yeah.
So, I sound like a Homer fan right now. Don't feel bad for me. I love Clemson and Alabama, and I'm having a blast. Roll Tide and go Tigers.
We'll see you next week.
If you're lucky.
Thanks to Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Hall of Fame.
Thanks to IonGreenville.net for doing their cool pick'em thing.
Always.
Thanks to Gray Thompson for being the host with the most. Gray Thompson.
Getting some boos from the LSU fans again. Well, tired of it. I didn't hurt my knee or anything.
They're LS users. We'll see you next week. Fête be.
Roll Tide, go Tigers. Fête be.